Monday, June 9th. This is our full council meeting, Village of Gulf Manor. If you would stand as you're able so we can get the meeting started with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Brennoff, would you do a roll call, please?
Ms. Chesser.
Yep.
Mr. Fisher. Dr. Fisher. Ms. Primer.
Here.
Ms. Mahal.
And me.
Mr. Michelson. Here.
Very good. Presume everyone has had an opportunity to look at the agenda this evening. Is there a motion to accept the agenda as written or to amend it?
Would we like to excuse David before we do that? Don't we normally excuse absent council members?
Oh,
before?
yes, absolutely. Is
I'll
there a
second.
motion to excuse?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
David had reached out to us, for those who did not know, unable to make it tonight. So concerning the other motion requested with regard to the agenda.
I didn't see any necessary changes, so I'll make a motion.
Is anyone addressing council?
Yeah, but that comes after.
Not
And
Do
on
we
the-
have to add it to the agenda?
I spoke to him and he's gonna come to our next one so they can have more time.
But you're here to address council too?
Actually,
When I'm allowed to.
Oh, that's who.
I'm going
Okay.
to during my meeting. Yeah.
Motion to accept? Did you know?
Second.
I think there was already a motion to accept by Ms. Mahal.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
Second would be Ms. Primer. Is that okay?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Very good. As was indicated, there was an individual who approached about speaking today about an incident that occurred on Mayflower. He's going to come back on at our July meeting and will speak at that time. As he'll be able to basically have some more interaction with the administration in between that time. Let's see, so we don't have anyone registered to speak with council. Minutes to be approved. We have the May 19th minutes for approval. Is there any adjustments that need to be made to those? Is there a motion to accept?
To accept the previous meeting's minutes.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so Chief Meter, we have our Deer Park Silverton Fire District report.
There hasn't been a whole lot happened since the last time. It seems like we were just here a few weeks ago. So really no news is good news. I do want to give you a quick update that we will have our next board meeting on June 17th. So that's next Tuesday. It's at 4:30. And that's when the board should be making its final decision on whether we proceed with the request for a tax levy in November. We just received our certification from the auditor's office, and the approximate millage, revenue on the millage is $301,000 per mill. So we're looking at asking the board to approve a request for 3.5 additional mills for our residents of Deer Park and Silverton. That would bring in just a little over $1 million in operating revenue to keep us in the black, going in probably another 7-8 years after the levy passes if everything goes well. So they've really been supported in our communities. Doing some research in other communities, looks like fire levies and EMS levies are typically well received. So we're hoping that even though we have some challenges with potentially one against Deer Park School on the same ballot, we're not going against each other. We just happen to have to fall in the same levy cycle. So we're just going to obviously work on our own and not try to distract from the other ones at all. But we had a nice meeting with the school, and they understand our position and they understand what they need to do. So it's just a circumstance that happens. So no hard feelings on that. For some public interactions with the Gulf Manor community, I know we have Juneteenth coming up. I just told Ms. Primer that the on-duty staff has been sent an email, has been placed on the schedule for them to come down and have some interaction with the residents and your guests down here that day. They've been here the last couple of years. I was able to make it one of the years. It kind of falls on a weird time for me on being out of town, but they've always had a good time and enjoyed being here. So we will encourage them to come down as calls allow. So that'll happen. And then I want to touch base with you, Captain, on the 4th of July parade this year. It's June 29th. And it starts at what time, please? And I saw it on one of the Facebook posts, so I just wanted to confirm that that was the accurate. Yeah, okay, yes, all this morning. Yep. And then with that, that's really all I have with the report. Just one quick note though, just to clarify something. When you receive the reports of the reason for dispatch on the runs, I go by with what the county provides to us. I don't separate out what we actually found because on the medical side, that could get in a little bit of private privacy and patient confidentiality. But I do like to just note there were 2 reported structure fires in Gulf Manor that turned out not to be structure fires. The one on Vera back on the 25th of May was actually food on the stove. And then on the 31st, it was a mulch fire over on Stover that was caused by some of the kids playing with fireworks too close to the mulch. So they come out that way. Obviously, from experience, if we do actually have a fire, I notify the village administrator or the mayor, just so everybody's on the same page. But if you happen to see that pop up and you don't hear that there was anything major going on, it means it was downgraded to something less significant. So just want to rest assured that there was nothing major that we missed this past month.
All right. Appreciate that. Any other questions for Chief Manor? Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Look forward to seeing any of these events coming up. So
Yeah.
take care. Thank you.
All right, I have several announcements. I want to thank former Mayor Zafiro for the work he's done planting native flora throughout the village over the past month. I mentioned in my previous report that he and his wife had been planting in front of the municipal building. Since that time, they've focused on the village entry points in the park, planting seven different species of native Ohio plants. Native local pollinator plants are really good for the ecosystem, our local ecosystem, in terms of resilience to extreme climate fluctuations and the support that provides for foundational layers in ecosystems such as bees and butterflies, among many others. For those interested, the entranceways in the park have 14 plants each, 2 of each of the species, which are bee balm, thin leaf mountain mint, black-eyed Susans, lance leaf coreopsis, purple coneflower, and 2 types of native grasses. On behalf of council and the Gulf Manor Bees and Butterflies, we thank the Zafiros for their example of excellence and continued service to the village. I'll be attending the Ohio Mayor's Conference this week in Columbus. The agenda items include Village Roundtable, discussions, state legislative updates, collective wisdom on best practices for engagement with state legislators on matters that affect villages, constituent communication strategies, grant strategies and community revitalization, use of artificial intelligence in local government, as well as the annual business meeting of Ohio mayors. As in the past, I'll include any highlights of the conference in my July mayor's report. I've accepted a volunteer for the executive committee. As you know, I announced in my mayor's reports the past 2 months that we've had these openings, and we posted on the website as well that there are volunteer openings on committees and commissions that serve the village, including executive committee. In that time, I've received 1 application for the executive committee, and that was from former Councilman Danny Knipp, who's here this evening. As many of you know, Danny has served on numerous council committees, and after his time on council, Danny has remained very active in the village, supporting a number of our community events through donations of time and resources to ensure the success of those events, including Juneteenth, 4th of July celebrations, as well as movie nights in the park, to name only a few. Volunteers are hard to come by, and I appreciate his continued willingness to serve. So tonight I'm appointing Mr. Knipp as a resident volunteer to the executive committee. I have also to announce that there's an additional seat on Recreation Commission that has opened up. That's my understanding. I've not received the formal resignation letter yet, so I won't announce the name, but my understanding is that there is an opening. So that would be 2 openings on the Recreation Commission at this time. So if anyone is interested in that, certainly encourage them to pursue those openings. I also received an application for the Human Rights Commission from Jim Clark, who is here this evening, and I'm officially nominating him to fill one of the seats on that commission. He has a wealth of experience in mediation as a pastor, counselor, and small group leader. He also has extensive experience in public speaking and business networking. He currently serves on the Village Housing Commission. He lives on St. Albans and has been a resident of Gulf Manor for 23 years. It is with my highest confidence that I nominate him for the Human Rights Commission. He's here tonight, and I've invited him to say a few words and answer any questions the council may have. So, Mr. Clark, would you like to address the council?
As a public speaker, I like to look at everybody and so they can look at me and maybe stay awake while I talk. Never ask a former minister to speak just a few words, but I will. I'll be good tonight. 23 years in Gulf Manor, great place for us to be. Great stretching and growing and learning experience for my wife and me. We're next door neighbors almost with, across the street neighbors with Melody. I'm always jogging and walking around the neighborhoods. That's how I know Stefan and Captain Reed. I've been in here to whine about a few things. Extensive experience with speaking and doing groups. And also when I was with a career college for a few years, I worked with ex-offenders groups to try to help ex-offenders get employment. So I did a lot of that to prevent recidivism with ex-offenders. So I worked with a lot of community leaders with that. I don't know if that was in my application or not. I'm a member of the military. I served in the National Guard for 3 years. Desert Shield, Desert Storm, 1990 to 93 as a chaplain. So that was in concurrence with my ministry. We're very happy to be in Gulf Manor. We hope we can stay. We're getting older, my wife and I, but we love the people here. And I see a lot of people around the neighborhood. So I have a wealth of experience in groups and with various individuals from all backgrounds, ethnic groups, even religions, and so forth. But again, it's been a very stretching and growing and learning experience for us to be in Gulf Manor. I think that's all. Does anybody have any questions?
With that, I would thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
And with that, I'd ask if there's a nomination for Jim's placement on the Recreation Commission.
Recreation?
Sorry, Human
Human
Rights
Rights.
Commission.
Human rights.
I'll nominate him. Jim Clark for Human Rights
Two open
Commission.
seats there.
Human Rights Commission. Now
Only
you-
because I paid you to nominate.
You can't say that,
Okay.
For the record, they were joking.
For the record.
All right, Mel nominated and I'll second.
All right, all those in favor? Without objection, I'll take that as unanimous. Thank you for your service, Jim.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it.
You're welcome, and I'll be at Human Rights next Monday, I think.
Very good. We'll announce the schedule. I haven't actually looked at the schedule,
Okay.
but I.
Thank you all.
That's correct.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Right. I received our administrator's self-review at the end of business on Friday, and we'll be meeting with him on Wednesday this week to complete my portion of his review, make a recommendation to the Finance Committee concerning any salary increase. This ideally will accompany the Executive Committee's recommendations before Finance would make any decision on that. The administration and I have been working on making computers available to a couple of our volunteers. If you don't have these and are in the position that require them, our solicitors writing up the documents will need to have these individuals sign for use of these computers in their volunteer roles. I believe this was previously reported in the community engagement meeting tonight, but I'll reiterate it here. Captain Reed and I discussed some great ideas he has for fall event that we're going to proceed with. I had mentioned that I'd like us to have a band perform in the evening after those activities, and we were originally talking about Labor Day, but then found out that we could get a band that's been used in the past. It's very popular, Second Wind, if we rescheduled for the 7th of September. So that's what we've done, and we'll keep everyone updated as we confirm more of the daytime events for the date. And finally, I met with our engineers about our request that they submit a response to our Parks Master Plan RFP. I was unable to stay for the full meeting, but my understanding is that they will submit one by July 1st. They had some questions about the scope of the request, which I believe are now resolved. And that completes my report. And so,
Can I ask a question, please?
sure. Yes, absolutely.
Oh, you just scared me. You talked about the parks RFP, so I'm curious why you were involved in that since that's executive. And then two, you also mentioned, what did you say right before that? I'm sorry. I don't have it. 'Cause I don't have a written report.
About the community,
Oh, wait a
Concert?
minute, the
about
concert,
the
yeah.
concert.
I'm
yes.
curious where the funding is coming from that.
We're working on
If I
that.
recall, that band is quite expensive, and I
Right.
know recreation doesn't have the money for that. So where is
Right,
that coming
yes.
from?
It's being worked on. This is literally the date change just happened within the past week. The availability of the band was just learned within the
So we've
past week.
committed to the band that we're paying for, but we don't know where we're funding it?
Yes.
Okay.
And any other questions?
That still doesn't answer the park RFP question.
The park RFP, yes.
Yeah.
So that was an appointment that was scheduled by the administration that I was only able to attend the front end part of that. My understanding was that the council had requested that our engineers submit an RFP, and this was the meeting in which what council wanted was shared with them. So that's why we were involved with that. Council had asked us
Well,
to
from
reach
my
out to them.
understanding, there's a list of these park design list, and that was not created by executive.
Sorry, say again?
There's a park design list that was shared with the engineers, and that was not created by executive committee who is managing the parks RFP.
Okay,
So this will come up in my executive report, but now we're going back to the two other people who have already submitted and sharing the same information so that we're making sure things are fair and equitable. But I'm curious, like, where this came from and like why you were involved in that meeting. If this is again. an
I
executive
was
issue.
involved in it because I'm the mayor and I knew that this was a particularly important topic for council, so I wanted to make sure that I was at the meeting. And actually, when I got to the meeting, I asked, are we going to be discussing the RFP? And I was told that that's not what the meeting was about. It was about some other issues, and that's actually why I left the meeting, but then found out later that the RFP was discussed, to answer your question.
But do you know where this list came from? This park.
I
design
don't
list?
know which list you're referring to.
This park design list that's got like pickleball courts, it's not based on the community survey that we sent out.
All right,
Because it has other things like soccer fields, shelter houses,
right.
those are not included in the community plan, so I'm just trying to understand.
I'm not aware of any list that did not include what the community had been reporting, and I'm happy to talk about that at another time more specifically with you or any other council members. And Mr. Hirth reported that he was feeling ill this evening and was unable to attend. And I am not updated on whether he provided a report to you to
I
present.
did not receive a report from him.
Okay.
I think he discovered he was not going to be at this meeting about 10 minutes before the 6 o'clock meeting.
And Rec, so I know of one person who is intending to resign and again has not submitted this, but we had 9 prior to that. So unless you're referring to 2 people, we only will have 1 seat, not 2.
Okay.
So I think
Very
we had 9 and now we
Okay.
might have 8.
All
So I didn't know, I don't know if I misheard or if we were talking about the same person or you know another person that I don't know of, so.
I'm thinking we're talking about the same person.
Okay, so I think we're
Yeah.
gonna only have 1 open seat. We do
Okay.
not have an open seat without this person resigning.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, very good. Thank you for the clarification.
Uh-huh.
And, if there's no other questions, I'll ask Mr. Fridnoff for the fiscal officer report.
Sure. Okay, so fiscal officer report is pretty short. We did discuss the 2026 tax budget draft, which for anybody who would like to come see that, that is going to live over here in this beautiful binder with Golf Manor on the front. This has all of the appropriations that are normally passed and does have line item detail by department with all the funds. And that's just gonna live right here. So if you ever wanna come refer to that, if you do not have your own copy because you're not on finance, you are more than welcome. As well, if you'd like a copy, I can produce that for you. Just please give me a couple of days advance notice. But that is the main thrust of my agenda for now. There were a couple items that were discussed in finance, which I can go over, or I can just leave them for Mr. Michelson to discuss when we get to his report, to Mr. Fisher's report.
Why don't we do that? Yes. All right,
But before we go on, I apologize, that the purpose of the tax budget, and again, this is for all council members, is to digest and take a look, and if there are items that I may be missing, generally speaking, it's really referring to the potential streams of revenue. If there are streams of revenue that we are not taking advantage of and you think that we are missing it, that's the time to take a look. So that is online, you can take a look at that, but that's also over here if you see something. Otherwise, the intention at this point is to pass the tax budget on the July meeting, which there will be a tax budget hearing for that. And any details and any questions about appropriations, now is the time to start talking about those, but that's not what's being passed in July.
excellent, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Britnoff? All right, Chief Campbell is out of town this week, and Captain Reed is standing in for him. Do you have a mayor's court report for us?
Yeah, good evening. So monthly mayor's court report, total to the city, $2,256. Total to the state, $427.50. Total to other, which is $16.50 for a total of $2,700. That is the end of the report.
Excellent. Is there a motion to accept the mayor's court report?
I move to accept the mayor's court report.
I'll second.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Do you have an activity report and citation reports?
I have a citation report here. It looks like 21 citations issued, with the top two being driver's license offenses and vehicle registration violations.
Any questions for Captain Reed? All right, so I will ask for our solicitor report from Mr. Butler.
Thank you. Two pieces of legislation in front of you. One is resolution number 2025-18 regarding renewal of our healthcare or health insurance coverage with United Healthcare. So every year we do this around this time. It's for August 1, 25 through July 31, 26.
Is there a motion to accept by title?
To read by title.
To read by title.
Move to read by title only. Resolution 2025-18.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Resolution number 2025-18, a resolution approving a contract with United Healthcare to provide health insurance coverage for village employees through the Center for Local Government Benefits Pool. Local government is kind of a service entity that negotiates these types of things, as well as gives advice to local villages and gets the best price for health insurance for other things. So well, it's different than our state pool where we're for spending. This is just a local agency that helps us out.
This is part of the staff meeting that all the staff had about their insurance.
Yes, yes. So this, for the next cycle, the Center for Local Government sent representatives from the Jefferson Health Plan and from the benefits pool broker called Hub. They have an office in, I think that's technically Sycamore Township, but it's like by Kenwood, that basically explained what the changes would be for employees. And I mean, it was a pretty standard kind of benefits meeting, which many people were in attendance. I believe it was a mandatory attendance for anyone who was intending to take the insurance. They did get lunch out of it, which I think was appreciated by most, if not all. That was with the 5.5% increase, which is significantly lower than what we were expecting. I believe we discussed this in the last finance committee meeting as well. So I don't want to bore you with more details, but happy to answer any other questions you might have.
I was in attendance for a portion of that. It did not seem like, it seemed like the employees were happy enough with this plan. There wasn't any, I didn't hear any complaints. So anyway, as background of what we're voting on. All right, is there any other questions? And if not, do a roll call.
And need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Enthusiastically.
All right, roll call, please.
Ms. Chesser?
Yeah.
Mr. Fisher is absent. Dr. Fisher?
Yeah.
Ms. Kramer?
Yes.
Ms. Smale?
Yes.
Mr. Michelson?
Yes.
Thank you. The next is resolution number 2025-19. It was erroneously identified on your memo as 2025-20, although it
Corrects itself later.
Okay.
somehow it ended up in the agenda correct. It's requested by Minister Printoff to authorize him in advance of village funds from the general fund to the DEA fund. And you probably want to expand on that.
Yeah, so essentially, we have a pretty, I don't want to call it a volatile income stream from the DA fund, but the DA fund has this habit of just dropping a lot of money in 1 or 2 months and then going 5 or 6 months without dropping anything. So the last time they had a drop like this was in December, and that brought us up to in the black by the end of the year. And now we're in a dry spell. So there's about $12,000 left in the fund. I don't know if I will actually need to advance the money. We're good for the next month, but I don't want to come to you all in 1 month and say, hey, we're out of money. We need to transfer now, otherwise, right? This is fiscal planning, right? I expect there should be about $12,000 of expenses over the next month. If we do not receive any drops from the DEA, that means seizures that have then been processed and we've received that reimbursement from the DEA. So then this would be the general fund advancing, loaning the money to the DEA fund to be paid back once those funds are received. This does continue to pay for salary, benefits, et cetera, which again, over the month ends up being around, I mean, it's a couple other things in there too, but about $12,000.
Any questions? And is there
We need a motion read by
to-
title only first.
Read by title only.
Motion to read resolution 2025-19 by title only.
Second.
All right,
Aye.
all those in favor?
Resolution number 2025-19, a resolution authorizing an advance of village funds from the general fund to the DEA.
Is this a cycle that happens frequently?
I mean, sometimes yes, sometimes no. We have advanced to them earlier in this year. I apologize, I don't have that number in front of me. I believe it was to the tune of about 42,000. That was 42,500. My apologies. And this would be giving it another basically 3 months of funds. So again, the expectation is that it's going to be paid back. Historically, it has always been paid back. Well, historically, we won't talk about the accounting procedures that happened historically. However, historically, the fund has been solvent and has not had these kinds of issues. However, this year there is a significant long dry spell, which has necessitated, again, requesting the advance.
There have been, have discussions been held about like the long-term viability of this? If, you know, are we gonna have to keep fronting the money? Is it, you know, because I know I looked at the system briefly with Chief Campbell maybe a year ago. And there was some sort of like delineation of how much we can expect to be getting. Is there an expected amount coming to us in the next couple of months that we could quantify, or is it just kind of?
I do not have access to that. I did not ask that question. I will be very honest. I did not ask that question. My impression is that, generally speaking, the officer who's assigned to that task force is constantly working on cases and is constantly building more opportunities for the village to be reimbursed. I have not seen that. So I cannot answer that from a point of seeing it, but I do know that that has been the trend, and I have no reason to believe that it should be any other, it should be otherwise.
Was the previous amount that was, that was
Outstanding?
transferred, was that paid back already to 4250?
No.
In my experience, I've seen this play out several cycles, saw it, I think that the scariest time was during COVID, where a lot of things just completely shut down. And so we had like literally hundreds of thousands of dollars in the queue, and we weren't seeing it. And we were needing to do appropriations.
That's correct.
Moving forward during that time, but it all smoothed out. I'm curious, I don't know if Captain Reed could address this or not, but I know that anything that's affecting like the federal processes, and that could even be like a change of administration or anything, that can cause some delays or hiccups in a process. I don't know if that would be in play now or not.
Now, typically what we're seeing now is they're heading to the end of the year, their fiscal year. So either we will see the money drop before they end the fiscal year, or they will drop the money when they come back from the fiscal year. They kind of tie up their loose ends and they go dormant for a few months and then they come back. So.
Any other questions on that? I think we yet have a motion to approve.
No, we don't.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
All right. Any other questions for anyone on this? All right, roll call.
Ms. Chesser?
Yep.
Mr. Fisher is absent. Dr. Fisher?
Yeah.
Ms. Grimer?
Yes.
Ms. Mail?
Yes.
Mr. Michelson?
Yes.
And that is all I have.
All right, with that, Mr. Kramer, Executive Committee report.
Yes, executive committee met an hour and a half ago. We completed the administrator's annual performance review process. Surveys were sent to heads of each department and executive committee. The survey was then compiled and shared with the administrator, mayor, and executive committee. Executive committee discussed the themes that arose from the report and asked that they be included in the revised objectives that the mayor will then work on with the administrator. Themes include responses varied and some felt some felt informed while others did not. The majority of the responses reported communication issues. Role clarity on which objectives were the responsibility of the administrator and which were others that the administrator managed would aid in communication issues mentioned above. So the objectives appear to be outdated and were not relevant to the administrator's role. Executive committee was also supposed to review and make a decision on the Parks Master Plan. The engineers were not able to submit a proposal by our committee meeting. New information around park priorities was shared with the engineers and will also be shared with the other firms that submitted to ensure fairness and equity in the RFP process. Executive committee will review all of the proposals in July and make a decision. Our priorities, if you recall, we have a priority around pay equity that is still in process, and we're waiting on next steps to be communicated from the county. Once we have that, we will need the fiscal officer's support in completing that. Also working on website and AV upgrades, which Melody is leading with support from Dr. Minna. And that is also in progress. And from my understanding, they're reviewing other government websites for inspiration and vendor recommendations. And support needed is, we'll be seeking support from community members on user experience. And I believe I've heard a survey is in the works for community members. David is leading a management audit. He is scheduling all of his meetings, and I believe by the end of next week, we'll have all meetings completed. So we will go over his findings in our July committee meeting. Dr. Minna is creating and leading a onboarding process and collaborative tool for council. She started to synthesize the charter of ordinances and other documents that are helpful, and a survey will be sent out to all all council members in the coming weeks about what information will be most helpful for new council members. If you could please complete that survey when it is sent, that would be helpful. Next items we've got are reviewing the revised proposal, establishing more clear goals for our priorities. And we were tasked in last council meeting with working on a revised background check. We've tabled that and we'll have a revised version of that to review in July or August. Questions? And yes, Eric also missed too.
Excellent. Any other questions for Ms. Kramer? I see the next executive committee meeting is scheduled for 6:30 PM on July 7th. No other questions, and we'll move on to, let's see, Planning Commission. Scheduled Planning Commission meeting is Monday, July 14th, 7 PM, pending any business. Ms. Mail, do you have a community engagement report?
Yeah, so kind of long one-ish. So the latest community engagement meeting was held today at 6 PM. So the postcards designed by the Community Engagement Committee were finally delivered starting the week of May 19th. The information on the postcards includes the village business summer session schedule, which starts today. Upcoming recreation programs and events, and a QR code to the Recreation Commission page on the village website. Reportedly, postcards were not delivered to several households. If you did not receive a postcard or would like additional postcards, please contact the Community Engagement Committee. We have additional postcards to distribute, so the stack is here. And if you recall, council approved the legislation for our little free pantries during our last full council meeting on Monday, May 19th. This is good news. Subsequently, we were able to apply for the Hamilton County Public Health Chronic Disease Prevention Mini Grant to fund these pantries as encouraged by We Thrive and Reach. So within that week, like we submitted it on Monday, by Friday, we received an official notice of award that we are conditionally funded. So while we received the feedback that our application was strong, the amount of $4,000 that we requested exceeds the maximum amount of $1,000 that they're offering. So they've requested us that we revise our budget, clarify how many pantries we can build with the new budget, and confirm that we can spend the funds by August 1. They asked us to resubmit this updated proposal by June 13th. So I want to make sure that we thank council member and chair of our executive committee, Brittany Crimer, for writing the winning proposal, and fiscal officer Eric Pridanoff. I call him every day whenever I refer to him his last name, for reviewing and submitting it by the deadline. And of course, Ms. Nguyen, so it was definitely a group effort. I'm really happy that we were able to get this accomplished. And so the big conversation, I guess, the village app has become a recent topic of conversation, particularly since the village was built with $6,500 for an annual maintenance fee by the developer, seemingly unexpectedly. Supposedly, the previous council, with the recommendation from the administration, voted for the app with the understanding that the total cost was that initial $20,000 to develop it. That's to say no annual maintenance fee thereafter. So consequently, the current council needs to decide if we want to continue to fund and pay for this, pay for the app and the annual maintenance fee. So during the latest discussion in council or finance committee, we asked that the administration request that developers waive this fee for 1 year while we decide. And as far as I know, they said no. So, but other than that, yeah. So what does that have to do with community engagement? So we are responsible for leading the effort to redesign and redevelop the village website. So given that the website and the app are strongly integrated, I'm currently gathering information related to the app. So everything I've had thus far is summarized in a community engagement agenda, but what I want to say in full council is regarding the contract that we signed in April of 2022. So to clarify, technically we did not pay $20,000 to develop the app. We paid $8,000 to develop the app and prepaid $12,000 for 2 years of maintenance. Specifically, we paid $3,995 for an iOS version, $3,995 for an Android version, $6,500 for 1 year of maintenance, and $6,500 with a 5-year discount, which is $6,175 for a 2nd year of maintenance. So this was a total of $20,665. Further, we did agree to pay $6,500 per year thereafter. So given that this is the 3rd year, this is why we were billed by the developers. And I have asked that this signed contract be attached to the community engagement agenda to be included in public record. Our next committee meeting is scheduled for Monday, July 7th at 6 p.m. And upcoming events I'll share with REC, in the REC update, I should say.
Great, excellent report. Any questions for Ms. Mayo?
pull up the other one. Is that next on there?
All right, Finance Committee report.
Yeah, so tonight also we had Finance Committee, along with everything else. The main parts of the meeting that we went over, we did not review fiscal packet due to the time of the meetings. Those reports will be kind of bumped a few weeks back. So we'll be seeing the previous month's fiscal packet in our next meeting going forward. There are a number of items for future appropriations that we'll have to consider at a later time, including things that were supposed to be in our previous appropriations, but due to things happening, it didn't quite happen as expected for police department equipment and various services that needed to be done. There are certain staffing and hotel reimbursements for the police department for working a NATO conference, and an unexpected increase of cost for recording equipment, cameras and such, and cloud storage for the new vehicle we're purchasing. So all of those will be included in a future appropriations that we'll consider all at once. I would like to thank Mr. Pritnoff for starting a running total of things that will be going into the appropriations. It will help everyone keep track and know what's going on. Also, fiscal officer, as you mentioned, did his tax budget packet. Looks like a lot of work went into it. So thank you for doing that. I know we bug you about this stuff all the time, and so giving us some resources to look at it ourselves is greatly appreciated.
Double gold stars.
Excellent. Any other questions for Mr. Michelson? Ms. Mail, I neglected to.
Yeah,
ask
I
if you
saw, I
had-
didn't notice that it
I
wasn't on here
apologize.
either. No, we're
Yeah.
fine, nope.
We thrive in recreation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't put I never do one for We Thrive, but one class just finished. Apparently, was it 10 people? 10 people
Yeah,
finished
10
the
people,
course.
Right.
And the reason I mentioned that, when the classes are free for us, but for every person who finishes the class, we get $50. So that's $500 right there that goes to Recreation Commission. Next class is a chronic disease one.
Yeah, starts July the 10th and finishes on August the 14th. They're on Thursdays from 5:30 to 8. The classes are free, and everyone that finishes the class is
$50.
$50 for it.
Right. Self-management for chronic disease.
Yeah, something's like a long time.
Yeah.
But thank you for that. All right, so the recreation, this is the fun news, I guess. So they had their last meeting last Monday, June 2nd at 6 p.m. So the Recreation Commission created their Amazon wish list for field day items. The wish list has been shared publicly in the Go Golf Manor Facebook group for residents to purchase and donate these items to the Recreation Commission. Prices of the items range between $7.68 and $49.49. During their May meeting, the commissioners approved to spend up to $300 on these items. So whatever items residents do not donate, the commission may purchase not to exceed the $300. So far, 4 families have donated 6 items, something like that, on the wish list. So be sure to thank them for their generosity. And I have a link to the Amazon wish list here. Regarding, let's see, this is Pride. So the commissioners approved spending on registration for the Cincinnati Pride Parade during their April meeting. However, by that time, the parade had already reached capacity and registration was closed. Therefore, the village never secured a position to walk in the parade. So while the commissioners discussed during their May meeting having a Pride potluck at Volunteer Park instead, they finally decided during this June meeting, so just last week, to link downtown and watch the parade as a community. So you're invited to join them on Saturday, June 28th at Fountain Square at 11 a.m. They are selling Pride t-shirts. This will include the Golf Manor Pride logo printed on a mystery color tee. So it's currently undecided, or should I say that? So shirts are $22 for adults, $18 for youth. We've already sold 3 of these shirts. I have the link for the Golf Manor Pride shirt there. Regarding Juneteenth, commissioners approved all funding requests to support the vendor events, and banners advertising the celebration are now hanging at the village gateways. I talked to Captain Reed. I'm going to say that's their debut, the community impact team. They'll be there supporting the event, kind of checking out IDs. Maybe you get beer from a cop or something. So beer will be provided by Nine Giant. Gourmet hot dogs will be served by Tiny Bistro. Pizza may also be served by the Recreation Commission as a fundraiser. We're still coordinating with Goodfellas. For whatever reason, they just haven't been responsive. They were initially super responsive. I haven't heard from them in a while. Oh, he may be on vacation or something. But another food vendor just happened to call me today while I'm off like calling Nine Giants. So he's like, yeah, I'm still interested. So we'll still have a second food vendor. And they'll do their truck with like fish, hot dogs, not hot dogs, hamburgers. So also Recreation Commission is selling Juneteenth t-shirts. So that'll have the Golf Manor logo, Golf Manor Juneteenth logo on a light blue tee. Again, $22 for adults, 18 for youth. And so we've registered at least 26 vendors and collected payments from 23 of them. We sold 12 shirts, Juneteenth shirts, 1 youth shirt. So then we got a $10 donation. So all of that, including the 3 Pride shirts, we've raised $933, so minus fees puts us just shy of $900. We've already discussed this. The Labor Day cookout originally scheduled for Monday, September 1 is canceled. Instead, we'll have the fall concert featuring the Second Wind. They returns. And that concert is scheduled for Sunday, September 7th. More details will be provided later. The next Recreation Commission meeting is on Monday, July 14th. And so to summarize, we got Juneteenth on Friday. The Pride Walk is Saturday, June 28th, Fountain Square at 11. 4th of July, Parade and Picnic. That's Sunday, June 29th. The parade starts at 2 at Lasanaville and Inglewood. The picnic starts at 3 at Volunteer Park. Food supervision will be provided by Cincinnati Kosher. Labor Day cookouts canceled. Fall concert is scheduled for Sunday, September 7th at the park. That was a lot, but thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Excellent.
So,
All right.
lots of happening in this last with the events.
Any other questions for Ms. Mayo?
I don't know who's paying for the band, Brittany.
Brittany is
Brittany is.
Oh,
on the record.
Like it's on the record.
I'm pretty sure that's like $6 grand.
Yeah, it's
That's a valid question.
Absolutely. All right, so announcements, just to go back over the coming dates here. We have June 16th is our Records Commission, 5 p.m. Human Rights Commission, 6 p.m. pending any business. Anyone who has other information, let me know. I'm just reading what's in front of me here. Monday, July 7th, we have summer sessions of council. So that's starting at 6, community engagement, 6:30, executive, 7 p.m. finance, 7:30. We have the 2026 tax budget hearing, and then 7:45 full council. July 14th, Recreation Commission, 6 p.m. Planning Commission, 7 p.m. after that, pending any business. And then Monday, July 21st, Human Rights Commission, 6 p.m. pending any business. Any other things to discuss? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone, for your service to the village and the residents of Gulf.
I made that change in the draft. I'm sorry, let me answer all this.
That was a painless one.
So,